Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where today I want to talk about seven of the greatest albums of all time, which happen to also be seven of the most consistently good, seven of the most interesting albums, and seven albums that, frankly, one could imagine all being written and performed and even recorded at the same time and then released sequentially like a serial type of situation. But that wasn't the case. The Moody Blues were just that good at songwriting, at arranging, and at performing their compositions that these seven albums could have been a single unit, even though they weren't. And I think that's a real compliment to just how good the Moody Blues were. Now, the Moody Blues, of course, existed before these seven albums and after, but I want to focus on these seven. It was from the golden period of the band. And what made it golden was a new lineup that was absolutely the right band in the right place at the right time. Of course, in the original lineup, you had keyboardist and mellotron specialist Mike Pinder, who helped to create that wonderful mellotron driven sound because the Moody Blues were really the first band where the mellotron was the central instrument. And of course, on drums, Graham Edge stuck around. Ray Thomas on flute and vocals was there. But the addition of two new singers and songwriters, Justin Hayward, who also played guitar, of course, and John Lodge, who played bass as well, they really helped to solidify a lineup of complementary songwriters. And when you look at the writing credits on all seven of these albums, you realize that there really aren't many trends of, oh, this is a Hayward song, this is a Lodge song, this is a Pinder song. Yes, they all had their distinct characteristics, but it was the similarities that made them the most interesting. These were four men who really just knew how to compose with and for each other. And I would make an argument that as a songwriting unit, the Moody Blues were one of the best songwriting units of all time in any genre. Now, the first of these seven albums was, of course, Days of Future Past, which is arguably the world's first concept album. It combined the traditional, well, not that traditional, the Mellotron-led rock band, or beat group as they were called at the time, and a full orchestra to tell the tale of the life of the everyman, what he does in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Only not every man's life is musically narrated by such gorgeous music. And of course, Nights in White Satin, possibly the most famous of all the Moody Blues songs, was on that album. And the next year, they didn't miss a step with In Search of the Lost Chord, a wonderfully cohesive album. By now, the orchestra was gone. Everything was up to Mike Pinder and the Mellotron, and he did it absolutely perfectly. You have Ride My Seesaw, big hit, Legend of a Mind about Timothy Leary, Voices in the Sky, a wonderful bucolic one, Best Way to Travel, a kind of psychedelic tune. Everything on there, though, just really, really good. And then, of course, from strength to strength, next year, next album, On the Threshold of a Dream, Lovely to See You. What a great song, which opens up the album. Dear Diary, another great song. So Deep Within You, a rather dark Mike Pinder number. Send Me No Wine, wonderful. I could read every track on the album's great. Never Comes the Day by Justin Hayward is just perfect. And Have You Heard, which finishes the album, a Mike Pinder tune, all of it just absolutely classic. That same year, because they moved quickly. You had To Our Children's Children, say that three times fast. And this had a wonderful John Lodge song, one of my favorite Moody Blues songs ever, Candle of Light, a Ray Thomas song that's wonderful, Eternity Road, another Hayward classic that would often open up their live shows from this era, Gypsy of a Strange and Distant Time, a Hayward and Thomas collaboration, Watching and Waiting. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. A Mike Pinder and John Lodge song called Out and In is also good. It's almost like I'm just reading the track listing because on these albums, every song is good. Many were hits, many were staples of the live performances, and all of them were just really good. This was such good songwriting. It's hard to overstate it, and I don't think I have, even though I keep talking about it. The turn of the 1970s brought the album A Question of Balance, and the opening track Question was another great showstopper with Mellotron swirling around everywhere. Great stuff. Melancholy Man, a wonderful ballad by Mike Pinder on it. Don't You Feel Small, an interesting number by Graham Edge. And The Tide Rushes In, one of Ray Thomas's best compositions. Great, great stuff. And the following year, we get Every Good Boy Deserves Favor, which any piano student will remember. Well, sometimes it's called Every Good Boy Does Fine, but it's a way to remember the white notes. And so we got on this album The Story in Your Eyes, which was a very big hit. Emily's song, very beautiful. You Can Never Go Home, one of a really nice sort of soft ballad by Justin Hayward. My Song by Mike Pinder, wonderful, wonderful. And all good things must come to an end because in the following year, 1972, we've got the final of these seven albums, arguably one of the strongest ones. They went out with a bang. The opening track is the Mike Pinder tune, Lost in a Lost World. And on this album is what is quite possibly my favorite of all the Moody Blues songs, Isn't Life Strange, a John Lodge song. Wonderful, wonderful, great mellotron, great vocal harmony. It's one of those gut-wrenching songs that really just grabs you and doesn't let you go. But everything on this album was great. When You Are a Free Man by Mike Pinder, another great one. And of course, the concluding track, I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band. And yet, the Moody Blues, with all four of the singers, and with Graham Edge as a drummer who also recited the poetry in the band, really, really, or wrote it rather, and Mike Pinder recited it. It's one of those days. Um, it's just hard to find a set of seven albums that cohesive. You could literally listen to each one in order, front to back, and think, wow, this is a serial concept album set. And that is kind of what the Moody Blues were when they were in this classic period. Don't get me wrong, the stuff done before and the stuff done after was all wonderful. But those seven albums, seven of the most special albums you will ever come across, you really need to listen to all of them. Like and subscribe to this channel, and we will see you next time.